I have to say, my mindfulness practice with this cane, one of the main things it does for me is make me appreciate how much effort people have to make who are really sick or really using wheelchairs or really recovering. It just makes me appreciate how much effort it takes. So I know a lot of you in this room have had major illnesses and canes and crutches and so on. Can you hear me in the back? It's okay? Okay. Yeah. So I now really appreciate you. We take our bodies for granted so much. I mean, I do. Take it for granted it's going to go where you want it to go, and then it doesn't go where you want it to go, or there's a dog there. Yeah. Today, what I'd like to talk about is something really simple that we do all the time and connect it with you back to the ancient practices of the Buddha. It's a very small activity. It just happens to be part of what Dogen Zenji is teaching now, and it's something we can do and knowingly be connected to our ancient heritage, our ancient lineage. But Dogen Zenji, who is Dogen? Why is he important? So Dogen, we have a little statue of him on the altar there, and for the last year we've been studying the chapters of Dogen Zenji's Treasury of the True Dharma Eye. So he called the big book that he wrote, these many chapters, a treasury of the true Dharma Eye. Not modest, our Dogen, not modest. This is absolute truth of the Dharma he's writing for us. And so we've gone through, so far, 49 chapters. Somehow we missed a couple of weeks last year. There are 52 weeks in a year, but somehow we missed a couple. And there are still about 40 to go. And so I hope you're up for continuing with this study. Yeah. Many of you are nodding. We'll take that. Dogen, see, we're still studying. Why is Dogen Zenji so important? So he's named after his temple, Eihei. That was his final monastery name, Eternal Peace. And Dogen is his monk's name, and then Zenji just means really, really great teacher. So he lived a long time ago, 1200 to 1253. But the reason he's so important, I mean, he's just important because all humans are extremely important. But one of the reasons he's so important is simple. Because of Dogen Zenji, we have Zen in the West. Because of Dogen Zenji, we know about Zen. Without Dogen Zenji, Zen would have been this kind of small, wonderful practice of Buddhism. There are many schools of Buddhism, just like there are many schools and varieties of Christianity and Islam and Hinduism. So this could just be a very small part of it. And in fact, it is just one part of many schools of Buddhism. But because of Dogen Zenji, and then his kind of Dharma grandson, Keizan, this way of understanding our life has stayed really valid to this day. So that's why he's important. And then when people first open up the treasury of the True Dharma Eye and start looking at it, it looks really difficult. So for many people in our group has been together for like 35 years, and for many people in the group, it's like, I really like Zen practice, I really like mindfulness, but Dogen Zen, no, later. It's considered quite difficult. It's poetic. So how many of you like to read poetry? Yeah. But not everybody. Isn't that interesting? Poetry tries to give us an understanding of something without locking it down. And so Dogen tried to preserve these teachings of Zen by not locking it down. So it looks slippery or contradictory. But luckily, this talk that begins this year is about something extremely simple, and yet it's so important. He wrote about it 3 times over his life. He wrote 3 different chapters and presented it at 3 different monasteries. Because for all the people that would come to listen to him talk, he wanted them to know how important this is. You'll never guess what the title is. Washing the Face. So we have an opportunity to connect this thing, this activity, maybe the first activity of the day, as it is for people who live in monasteries. First activity is you hear the wake-up bell, you get up, you go to the wash station, and you wash your face. The first activity of the day. So for many of us, that is also our first activity, but later on in this talk, I'll get to other possible first activities of the day, because that first activity of the day is our chance to understand our intention, our chance to be completely present, and our chance to do various things. In washing the face, Dogen was trying to connect it to, he was connecting it to teachings of the original Shakyamuni Buddha, who also emphasized washing the face. To do this simple activity is to connect us to our life and the need to clean and the need to declutter our life. Very important teachings in Buddhism. This decluttering and cleaning the dust and cleaning. Of course, Dogen doesn't let us settle down in cleaning because everything is already pure. But he still says we still wash the face. Even though it's already pure, completely beautiful, wash the face. So earlier today, many of you were here, we did our temple cleaning. And some people, one time, a little while ago, someone said to me, I finally understand why we do temple cleaning, soji. Oh, really? Please tell me. We're cleaning something that's already clean. Yes, you've got it. So practically speaking, there are two sides to temple cleaning. Actually, there are several, but the two basic sides are you clean. Practically, we clean. Metaphorically, we clean. Metaphorically, we take away clutter. Metaphorically, we remove the dust. The mind can become cluttered and dusty too. And so part of what practice is about is understanding it's possible to declutter the mind. And for Dogen Zenji, cleaning the temple and cleaning the face is the same as cleaning the mind. So part of what this teaching, this activity of cleaning the mind, emphasizing washing the face is about, is that for Dogen and for all Zen people on this path, this Bodhisattva path of Zen, every action matters. Every single action matters. Everything we do, everything we think, everything we say has an impact. And this is really important for us in a good way, because it's the accumulation of small acts of intention, of goodness, that actually leads to major change. It's the accumulation of small acts. And we have a funny way of understanding it, because for people who aren't Dogen Zenji, we think there's a difference between big and small, right? So we think there's such a thing as a small act and a big act, and we tend to turn this, one of the clutters of our mind, one of the dusty understandings of our mind is that we are judgmental of our actions. I'm making this small act, I'm straightening up this thing, I'm picking up this piece of litter in the middle of the esplanade and nobody is even witnessing it, and I'm picking it up and putting it in the trash can. That's an act. That's a small act, extremely consequential. So we humans can sometimes be cluttered and think, well, that's a small act, but a big act would be, and you name it, a more consequential act. But in the Buddha Dharma, that's a delusion. There's a delusion in how we judge our acts. That's clutter and that's dust. It's the intention behind it that really matters. So even to like offer a kind word to a stranger in the CVS, it's really a consequential action. These things really matter. All significant actions come from an accumulation of small actions. So this cleaning idea, this purification idea, is also something that can get a little bit dusty. So to purify, which we're doing all the time when we, in our temples, when we do the purification with the water wand, all of those are symbolic purifications to declutter, 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 declutter. And to Dogen Zenji, it's really important to not get stuck in ideas of what that means. So not get stuck in an idea or a judgment of what it would be, what an impure thought would be, for instance, or a pure thought would be. It's just the activity of cleaning that matters. And then you stop. You drop the judgment. We drop the idea of we drop the idea of purity. So this is part of the, what I'd like to introduce a little bit also before going into Dogen's activity of cleaning the face, is the Bodhisattva path. I want to introduce this idea to you. So Zen Buddhism is part of the Bodhisattva path in Buddhism. So Bodhisattvas, all the beings up there are Bodhisattvas. It means awakening being. It means somebody who has the intention of awakening themselves for the benefit of others. This is the Bodhisattva path. Awakening and purifying for the benefit of others. And there are 5 stages. So this cleaning practice is part of the first 2 stages. The first stage is accumulation. The second stage is preparation. The third stage is seeing. The fourth stage is meditation. And the fifth stage is no more learning, totally awake. So this first stage of accumulation is we're accumulating understanding and teachings and, they say, merit, doing good deeds, accumulating. We need these resources. So the fact that all of you are here means you've already accumulated so much good resources in your lives that you think it would be a good idea to go to a Zen center. That's an amazing accomplishment for which we feel gratitude, because it's possible to have a mind that thinks, you know, well, it's no good to go and do a spiritual practice. I've got to go run a race and hurt my knee and then get surgery, meet surgeons. It's possible not to see how important such a thing is to do with our time in our life. Isn't that, do you see? And another thing to feel grateful for is if you're able to feel gratitude. You feel grateful for being able to feel gratitude. These are amazing benefits in a human consciousness. So it marks a lot of accumulation, as we would say, already. You already understand that you're on the path and that you have a little more work to do. So that's accumulation. And then the next stage is preparation, where you understand, there's a place to go and I'm going to prepare for it. Coming here is part of that. And then the next stage is the third part of the third path is seeing. And then that marks a time when you see reality. You see what this is all about. You see that things are totally interconnected. You see that things that don't have separate self. You see the emptiness, we say, in things, that they are continually changing, not fixed. You see. So that's the third stage. And then the fourth is meditation, where you stabilize that. So when Dogen talked about washing the face, that's what's in the background of what he's teaching. In the background is everything we do matters. The first thing you do really matters, so let's do it with intention. Wash the face. He did start this writing by clarifying that people who do practice Zen or spiritual practice already have the intention to wake up. Might not be a stable intention, but it's there. Yep, waking up would be good. Seeing through delusion would be really good. So he says, one of the things we have to understand is that it's not just about cleaning the mind, it's also about cleaning the body, because in the Buddha's time, long time before Dogen Zenji, people who were on the spiritual path often devoted all of their energy to a spiritual practice and didn't take care of this body. They did very extreme practices of yoga and standing and neglecting the body and not wearing clothes and so on. So the body was just considered something to be shed as quickly as possible so you could get to a spiritual attainment. Not Dogen. And by the time of Dogen, people had realized that in the Mahayana, people had realized, well, no, there is no separation between mind and body. We've got to take care of this body also and treat it with great care. So Dogen says, in this fascicle that we get to open the year with, no, there's absolutely no difference between the inside of the body, the mind, and the outside of the body, our skin. To care for the skin, to wash the face, is to wash the mind, if you really understand practice. So as you're splashing water on your face, you're washing the mind, he teaches. And he takes us past our limits of thinking that before we wash the face it is impure, and that after we wash the face with water it is suddenly pure. No, the water is pure, the face is pure, the mind is pure, so we wash the face. So, as someone had told me that they finally understood temple cleaning, we're washing something that's already clean, we're cleaning a temple that's already completely clean. This is true of our face. We wash it because it's already clean. Dogen says, in practicing and verifying in accordance with these, we transcend purity, we pass beyond impurity, we slough off non-purity and non-impurity. You understand? This is really important for us because we're holding ourselves to these standards, and for many of us, we're also holding the whole world to these standards. So passing beyond our understanding of purity and impurity frees us up remarkably. He also, in this fascicle, this chapter describes how to brush the teeth. It's really interesting because, of course, they didn't have Oral-B toothbrushes back then. They had willow twigs. So he describes how you make your willow twig according to the ancient way. So first you wash your face, and then you chew your willow twig until it's soft. It's actually really funny. Then you brush with your willow twig. And he also tells various things, how to dispose of it, and so on. But the teaching is, those who proceed, let's see, in sum, brushing the teeth and washing the face, these are the true Dharma of the old Buddhas. Those who pursue the way with the mind of the way should practice and verify them. When hot water is not available, to use cold water is an ancient precedent, is an old procedure. When neither hot nor cold water is available, then in the morning we should thoroughly rub the face, and then, after applying herbal incense, powdered incense, or the like, should bow to the Buddha, recite the sutras, burn incense, and sit in meditation. So these are instructions for monks. Whatever services are performed when one has not yet washed the face lack ritual propriety, just to be clear. People also surely do not know the procedure for bathing emptiness. Taking up emptiness, we bathe emptiness. Taking up emptiness, we bathe body and mind. Those who believe in bathing according to proper procedure surely maintain the practice and verification of the Buddhas and ancestors. So for me, I thought this could be an intentional practice for the year. Wake up, wash the face, wash the mind, and understand that that's what's happening. Get in touch with the intention just before the action. The intention just before the action, wash the face and wash the mind. That could be a practice. But then as I was contemplating this, as I was hanging out with this little guy, it isn't necessarily the first thing that everybody does in our world. So I thought of one other thing that often is the first thing, which is speech. Could be making coffee, but I don't have a practice for that one yet. So, speech. So for many of us, the first thing that happens is words come out. And we have really important teachings about how to do speech. It's really important and useful. So if it's okay, I want to summarize that too. The Buddha's teachings on speech. You ready for it? Yeah. It's also very simple, but really important. And it's, again, to have the intention behind the words flavors everything. It's the intention behind the words that really counts. So in the time of the Buddha, words were really important. Words had power because people weren't necessarily reading. The teachings of the Buddha were spread orally, and people listened to talks. They didn't read talks. It was considered holy to go to a talk and considered sort of mercantile or commercial to read writing. So words had power. And at the time of the Buddha, in the Vedas, one of the teachings is that things don't come to life until you name them. So a word is a powerful thing. And your child isn't really your child until you give them a name. And there are a lot of flames involved. So things kind of burst into flames when you put words on them. That's how powerful they were. And for us, if we attend to it, oral speech is still more powerful, but we invest all of that in all these writings and things like that. So these teachings are meant to be shared in an oral context. Isn't that interesting? For me, it's very interesting. And I attend to it. So, the Buddha, taking this seriously, and also going around to communities like this. He would go around all over India, northern India, and meet up with people who were practicing together and give teachings, and also then give problem solving and the rules. So all the rules of Buddhism came from the Buddha going around. Hey, Ame, is it okay if you don't text right in front of me? Thank you. Speaking of words, so here are the Buddha's teachings. He said, words should be, well, I know what they are, but I want to read you the Buddha. Speech should be true, beneficial, at the right time, affectionately spoken, and spoken with a mind of goodwill. Isn't that nice? True, helpful, at the right time, affectionately spoken, and spoken with a mind of goodwill. And he gave this teaching all the time. And yet, what happens when you have to say something that is maybe it's spoken affectionately, but it's not going to be something that your hearers want to hear? He's got guidelines for that. We have guidelines for that. 5 keys to right speech. Monks, a statement endowed with 5 factors is well-spoken, not ill-spoken. It is blameless and unfaulted by knowledgeable people. Which 5? It is spoken at the right time. It is spoken in truth. It is spoken affectionately. It is spoken beneficially. It is spoken with a mind of goodwill. And in another sutra he said, speak only words that do no harm. One should speak only that word by which one would not torment oneself nor harm others. That word is indeed well spoken. One should speak only pleasant words, words which are acceptable to others, What one speaks without bringing evils to others is pleasant. Okay, but that still sounds like we're very constrained in what we're going to say, which may not always work. So, there are sutras on deciding, the criteria for deciding what is worth saying. In the case of words that the Tathagata, the Buddha, knows to be unfactual, untrue, unbeneficial, or not connected with the goal of liberation, unendearing, and disagreeable to others, they do not say them. Pretty clear. How many of us have ever said something like that? Unfactual, untrue, unbeneficial, unendearing, and disagreeable to others? Well, heck. However, we've got these cases. In the case of the words that the Tathagata knows to be factual, true, unbeneficial, unendearing, and disagreeable to others, he does not say them. So they're true and factual, but they're not beneficial, not endearing, and not disagreeable. There are words like that. In the case of words that the Buddha knows to be factual, true, beneficial, but unendearing and disagreeable to others, okay? Factual, true, and beneficial, but unendearing and disagreeable, people aren't going to like this. He has a sense of the proper time for saying them. Isn't that good? So this in our world, I think, in terms of living in a culture where everything's happening in our village, everything's happening orally, we'd get a sense of this. We could tell when is the right time. One of the hard things about our world now is how do you time your email? How do you time things that you have to, you don't know when they're going to read it, you don't know what's going to be going on when they read it. So this creates a major practice opportunity for us. It's factual, true, beneficial, but unendearing and disagreeable, but we have a sense of the proper time for saying them. This is one of the reasons why my texts and my email happen to be really long, and you have to really, multiple drafts. Dear Rebecca, hi, hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a really nice day, and I've got something on my mind. I'd really like to talk about it. If now is a good time, I could write it to you. Otherwise, let me know when a good time is. Something like that. Instead of, Dear Seymour, you really blew it last week. Have a nice day. Email is so hard to interpret, isn't it? You can't tell. If you're having a hard day yourself and a relatively cryptic email comes in, I've seen this happen, and people think, wow, they're really in a bad mood. No, you're in a bad mood. And we're misinterpreting it. This sense of the right time has to be really carefully calibrated. Okay, here's another example. In the case of words that the Tathagata knows to be unfactual, untrue, unbeneficial, but endearing and agreeable to others, okay? It's unfactual, untrue, unbeneficial, but endearing and agreeable to others. They really want to hear this. He does not say them. An example, in the case of words that the Tathagata knows to be factual, true, unbeneficial, but endearing and agreeable to others, he does not say them. We face these situations all the time, and it's so tempting to say something that you know your friends are going to want to hear, but it's really not beneficial. One more case, maybe two more cases. In the case of words that the Tathagata knows to be factual, true, beneficial, and endearing and agreeable to others, he has a sense of the proper time. Even if it meets all the criteria, there's a sense of the proper time. Why? Because the Buddha has sympathy for living beings. So out of sympathy for others, we still follow all these guidelines and wait for the right, feel for the right time. And he closes with, speak only the speech that neither torments self nor does harm to others. That speech is truly well spoken. Speak only endearing speech, speech that is welcomed. Speech when it brings no evil to others is pleasant. There's one more kind of speech that the Buddha talked about, which I find very useful in the age of internet and other kinds of, well, all written words. Monks, do not engage in wordy warfare. Wordy warfare, saying, you don't understand this Dharma and discipline, I understand this. How could you understand it? You have fallen into wrong practices. I have the right practice. Of course, Dogen Zenji has fallen into this practice from time to time. Dogen Zenji freely criticizes practitioners in sympathy for others. So, as with washing the face and speech, or anything that we do, which is the first thing that we do in the morning, we have an opportunity. I think this will be my New Year's resolution, to feel for the intention behind that first act. You're awake. I've gotten out of bed. I'm awake, and if there's spaciousness of mind, which comes from our practice, our meditation practice, spaciousness of mind. Notice the intention with which we do that first activity. May it be beneficial. May it be beneficial to others. I wash my face. May it be beneficial to others. I speak my first words, which are usually to Chin. Breakfast is ready. Or the first people that we speak to. So, the small deeds that we do, the big deeds that we do, the words that we speak are flavored by, they receive their karmic weight. They're flavored by that intention behind them. When we carelessly wash the face, it's fine, does no harm, but it's flavored by the intention behind it. If the intention behind it is to be beneficial to others, it helps you and it helps others. And those first words are flavored by the intention. If they're just careless words, it's fine, probably just careless words. But if the intention is to say something simple and pleasing to someone, that gives it this good karmic flavor. Intention is the most important factor in what we do. So we have a chance to use our intention, our will, as we say, to create all these little gifts of good karma going out into the world for the whole year. And again, I hope you're okay with studying Dogen Zenji, who tried to bring these really complicated, small, but very complicated practices into our lives for the benefit of everyone. And next week you'll hear Kokyo Henko, who's a wonderful teacher, talking about Menju, face-to-face transmission. So wash your face before you hear it. Thank you very much.